Okay, here we go.
So would you like to begin, Ferishteh, with reading some of your wonderful translations for us?
Sure. I was just working on this last one, and you know, I've gone back through all my poems and revising them according to this Hafez Qudsi version that I'm working with now. So they're all consistent with that. So I'll be reading my last few that I've been working on, if that's all right. This is Ghazal 77, and in more well-known books, it's number 83. Do you guys want to hear the Farsi too? Or?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, please,
That's
please.
so beautiful.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. گر ز دست زلف مشکینت خطایی رفت رفت ور ز هندوی شما the light is falling بر ما جفایی رفت رفت برق عشق خرمن پشمینه پوشی سوخت سوخت جور شاه کامران گر بر گدایی رفت رفت گر دلی از غمزه دلدار باری برد برد بر میان جان و جانان ماجرایی رفت رفت در طریقت رنجش خاطر نباشد می بیار هر کدورت را که بینی چون صفایی رفت رفت عشق بازی را تحمل باید ای دل پایدار گر ملالی بود بود گر خطایی رفت رفت از سخنچینان ملالتها پدید آید ولی چون میان همنشینان ماجرایی رفت رفت ای به حافظ گو مکن زاهد که رفت از خانقاه پای آزادان چه بندی گرچه به جایی رفت رفت. So now that your Persian has been brushed up,
It's so beautiful.
Hafiz says, if your black hair committed a crime, so be it. If your Hindu beauty mark persecuted us, so be it. If the spark of love burned your woolen cloak, let it. If King Kamran inflicted treachery upon a beggar, so be it. If a heart is burdened from the coyness of a lover, so be it. If there is drama between a lover and a beloved, so be it. On the inner path, there is no room for hurt feelings. Bring the wine instead. If you see any hatred, make it disappear with your own sweetness instead. In lovemaking, you need forbearance, O heart. Stay strong. If there is gloom, bear it. If a mistake, forgive it. The gossipers caused much gloom and suffering, however. If there is blasphemy among the gathered, so be it. O preacher, don't find fault with those who recite Hafez. He has left the Sufi house. Why bind a free foot? If it goes someplace, let it.
Wow. Oh,
amazing. Ferishteh Jan.
Oh, salam Mernaz.
Hi, darling. That was beautiful.
Hi. Oh, thank you. So yeah, this was a surprise. It was for me. Totally, Baba picked this one for me because I was struggling with a little issue here, and it was perfect answer. Hafez's perfect answer, and it's also an answer to Tracy because she called me earlier. Do all translations end with the same word? And I said not necessarily. And of course, Baba picked one that mostly ended. My translations ended with the same word. So. Funny how he works.
Ferishteh Jan, did you translate this yourself?
Yes, I'm going to be reading on my own translations.
Wow, that's
I mean,
beautiful.
not today, but when I read Hafez, it's my own translation. I never read anybody else's
Oh my gosh,
because
it's
this
the
is my
best.
life's work.
It's the best I've heard so far. I know there are many translations, and yours was just amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
True.
Johnam, thank you.
Will you share another one?
Yes, let's see. What number? Let's go number 40. Sounds like a good number. Oh, again, good one. Of course, Hafez never fails to amaze me.
I know, right?
I'll just read the first couple of lines in Farsi. منم که گوشه میخانه خانقاه من است دعای پیر مغان ورد صبحگاه من است گرم ترانه چنگ و صبوح نیست چه باک نوای من به سحر آه عذرخواه من است. The corner of the tavern is my prayer hall. The prayer of my master is my morning mantra. If you don't hear from me the melody of harp and receive a morning repast, why worry? The sigh of repentance is my morning song. I am free from kings and beggars alike. Thank God. The beggar at the dust of the friend's door is my king. My only aim from the mosque and the tavern is union with you. Apart from this, I have no other intentions. God is my witness. For me, being your beggar is more pleasing than being a ruler. Effacement under your tyranny is my glory and dignity. Unless the razor of death cuts my tent from this world, fleeing from the door of fate is not my way or tradition. From the time I set foot across this threshold, the high seat of the sun is my protection. Although to sin is not in our control, O Hafez, try to be polite and say it is my fault.
Wow.
Wow.
Fantastic. I think yours are better than Robert Bly's.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
anybody's really. I think the ones I've heard, just wonderful. Some of the ones that you've read, you know, the effort and grace sessions are just so beautiful.
Make them so understandable. Sometimes Hafez can be really opaque, you know, at least in
Only because they make it opaque, or
Yeah.
you know, for me it's Baba is opening it to me with his vast treasury of spiritual teachings that he has gifted us, and a little bit of a poetic sense that I may have, and a command of both languages, a reasonable command of both languages.
Sure,
You got to have those elements before you can, you know, even do it justice. So I am just beginning. So just beginning and feeling my way through it.
So glad.
For the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Or 20, I should say.
only beginning.
Yes,
Beginning only.
only.
Mirishjan, your poems, is there any place on the internet that we could see the translations, or do you have a website or anything like that that we can?
No, darling, no, not yet. I am working on producing enough of them that maybe I will get it published. But right now, my focus is just sharing them with you know, people who are interested, and improving them, and just putting myself into this work. You know, it's not my goal to.
I know, but
Well,
I'd love to have some of them. This is wonderful.
Yes. If it comes, it will come. In Baba's time, it will happen. I know it will. So.
Thank you for sharing.
How about Robert Bly? listen to the man. And then I'll close with a couple more.
Yes, good. All right. So,
Tracy, before you start, I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to go lie down, but I'll be right here. My eyes are so tired.
yeah.
I'll enjoy it more if I can just lie down and relax.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, so that's a good idea if everyone would like to mute their mic, and we will do a Q&A near the end
Yeah.
for both Thursday and if anyone wants to talk about the Robert Bly work. And we will make time for Thursday to read more. So I was telling Thursday and Elizabeth before Latka and Mehrnaz and Elaine came on that Robert, these are the first translations that Robert Bly has done of Hafez, and this is the book. And there are 30 poems, and he worked with a Farsi scholar who is still a Farsi scholar today and is a fellow in the Persian and Iranian Heritage Foundation in England. And that's his whole work, is working with Sufi literature. So Robert Bly started the men's movement here in the United States and was originally a Spanish translator of Antonio Machado and other mystical poets. And he's now 90, and I just think the world of Robert Bly. And I think most people know this, but you know, during Hafez's lifetime, it was not always safe to be a Sufi. And so first, please correct me if you think this is incorrect, but my understanding is that the terms, you know, and that this is something that Farsi scholars would spend, you know, weeks discussing the words wine and tavern in Hafez's poetry. But I think in general, it is believed that he's referring to, you know, these are metaphorical words, mostly metaphorical words referring to the energy of love and the energy of God, the wine being that energy, and the tavern really referring to the mosque or the quiet places where Sufis would gather privately and quietly when they were not safe. And as I'm sure most people know, Hafez, who was very world-renowned in his lifetime in Shiraz, which is now in Iraq, had to leave his home and live in the woods for several months because his life was in danger from the fundamentalist regime that took over Shiraz. So, you know, Sufis' lives are not just in danger now, they were in danger in his lifetime. So I offered a prayer and asked Baba to help us. And
just one little thing, Tracy.
Yeah.
The tavern is not the mosque. Typically the tavern is not even the Sufi house of worship, because Hafez left the Sufi house of worship and was highly critical of the corruption and hypocrisy that he observed. The tavern he talks about, it's basically the sahabas of a high spiritual master, such as a Sadguru or a perfect master or the avatar.
uh-huh.
That's they're a real tavern, the one we're familiar with.
Right, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So this one's called One Rose is Enough. One rosy face from the world's garden for us is enough. In the shade of that one cypress in the field, strolling along gracefully for us is enough. I want to be far away from people whose words and deeds don't match. Among the morose and heavy-hearted, a heavy glass of wine for us is enough. Some people say that good deeds will earn them a gated house in heaven. Being rakes and natural beggars, a room in the tavern for us is enough. Sit down beside the stream sometime and watch life flow past. That brief hint of this world that passes by so swiftly for us is enough. Look at the flow of money and the suffering of the world. If this glimpse of profit and loss is not enough for you, for us, it is enough. The dearest companion of all is here. What else is there to look for? The delight of a few words with a soul friend for us is enough. Don't send me away from your door, O God, even to paradise. Your alleyway, compared to all space and time, for us is enough. It's inappropriate, Hafez, for you to complain of your gifts from fate. Your nature is like water. Your beautifully flowing poems for us are enough. Ah, so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, so good. This one is called, What Do We Really Need? If a soul has already chosen solitude, why should it need to travel? We know the street where the friend lives, so why do we need the countryside? My dear soul, by virtue of the fact that you have a desperate need for God, take a moment and ask what it is we really need. O Lord of divine loveliness, we have been burned to a crisp. Come now, ask of us, what is it a destitute and beggarly person needs? We are the lords of owning nothing, but we have no tongue to use for requests. Is there a need for appeal when we are already with the generous? There is no need to go over this again. Since your thing precisely is spilling our blood, everything in the house already belongs to you. Do you need to take more? Solomon's cup, in which all the world could be seen, is the bright soul of the friend. When the friend is with us, what need do we have to reel off our list of demands? The time is past that I would make myself indebted to a sailor when we have found the pearl. Do we need to keep going to the sea? O destitute lover, since the quickening kiss of the friend has been granted to you in perpetuity, what need is there really to go on asking for good things? Go away, you false face. I want nothing to do with you. Lovers with true hearts are with us. Why should we need people like you? Hafez, bring this to an end now. We all know how clear your poems are, so we do not need to quarrel with those who cannot grasp poetry. Well said, Hafez. This one is called Deciding Not to Go to India. To spend even one moment grieving about this world is a waste of time. Let's go and sell our robes for ordinary wine. Who says robes are better than wine? In the crooked alleys where the wine sellers hang out, a prayer mat may not buy even one glass of wine. What does that say about prayer mats? The tavern keeper scolded me, saying I should turn my face away from the door. What is this? The dust on a door sill has more value than a bread? Hidden inside the crown of a king, there is always a fear of assassination. A crown is a stylish hat, but a head is too much to pay for it. It seemed quite easy to put up with the ocean and its torments to receive a profit, but I was wrong. A hurricane is too much to pay for 100 pearls. It's better if you turn your face away from your admirers. The joy of the general receives from dominating the world is not worth the suffering of the army. It's better to aim, as Hafez does, for contentment and abandon what belongs to the low world. One grain of indebtedness to the base life weighs more than 100 bushels of gold. I'm going to read that one again if you don't mind. I feel like I missed something there. To spend even one moment grieving about this world is a waste of time. Let's go and sell our robes for ordinary wine. Who says robes are better than wine? In the crooked alleys where the wine sellers hang out, a prayer mat may not even buy one glass of wine. What does that say about prayer mats? The tavern keeper scolded me, saying I should turn my face away from the door. What is this? The dust on a doorsill has more value than a head? Hidden inside the crown of a king, there's always a fear of assassination. A crown is a stylish hat, but a head is too much to pay for it. It seemed quite easy to put up with the ocean and its torments to receive a profit, but I was wrong. A hurricane is too much to pay for 100 pearls. It's better if you turn your face away from your admirers. The joy the general receives from dominating the world is not worth the suffering of the army. It's better to aim, as Hafez does, for contentment and abandon what belongs to the low world. One grain of indebtedness to the base life weighs more than 100 bushels of gold.
Lovely. I recognize the first two roughly because I've translated them, but this one I have not recognized, so it'll be. But you know, he has 600 poems, so you know, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
That would be so interesting, Farishte, to for me to send you some of these poems and then for you to find your translations and then for us to read them side by side.
No, not necessary.
I have a question.
Yes.
There was one part in there that I didn't make the leap. I didn't jump with as it was being read. I got lost. And I think it's that line, about turn your face away from the door and what is this dust? Dust is, I don't know, that whole line about the dust, I didn't make the connection. That lost me.
That was, I struggled with that stanza as well. Maybe everybody can say what it meant to them. I'll just start at the second stanza and read the third stanza, which is what you're talking about. Maybe see if we can make sense of it. In the crooked alleys where the wine sellers hang out, a prayer mat may not buy even one glass of wine. What does that say about prayer mats? The tavern keeper scolded me, saying I should turn my face away from the door. What is this? The dust on a doorsill has more value than a head?
Yeah, that's where I got lost.
Yeah.
How that relates to the line before.
I guess I'd have to understand, you know, the cultural significance of that. Farishte, can you shed some light on that? The tavern keeper asking him to turn his head away from the door. Is there cultural significance to that?
No.
No.
The tavern keeper, if you've made it to the doorstep, it's because the tavern keeper called you there. So that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, it'd be fun to find the original and see, see what Hafez said.
To me, it was like him saying, all right, you're inside the tavern with the divine wine. Don't turn your head to the door, back to the distractions of the world.
Oh, to leave it.
Yes, don't even turn your face towards the door.
Yeah, but the next line, the dust, what's the dust part?
Well, the only part I didn't understand, well, the dust being more valuable, the part I didn't understand there was more valuable than a head. You mean like H-E-A-D?
Yeah.
I didn't understand the head part.
I didn't either.
But I could understand dust in a tavern being more valuable than anything outside of it.
Hi, by the way, hi, Latka.
Hi. Hi, darling.
It's Elaine.
I know.
Who
I'm really
knows?
sorry I came in late.
I
You
wonder
know,
if
who
it
knows? I mean,
means,
some of these subtleties may not have been understood, you know, so we
That's
don't
what I
know.
wondered too.
Yeah.
he's asking him to turn his head away from the dust as if
No,
his
from
head
the
is
door.
not worthy of looking at the dust on the door, on the step.
No, from the door. Turn your head away from the door.
That's why I don't listen to other people's translations. It messes up with my head,
Mm,
with my
Yeah.
clear head.
Well, and you're bringing Baba's, like you said, you're bringing your knowledge of all that Baba's given us since that time, and bringing it to that, which is just a whole different thing. No need for you to look back.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Tracy, could you read that line, just the line about the dust again,
Yeah.
please?
The dust on a door sill has more value than a head. I think, now that, when I think about, in my attempt to understand this, when, then he goes on to talk about hidden inside the crown of a king, there's always a fear of assassination. A crown is a stylish hat, but a head is too much to pay for it. For me, this is really all about the cost that we expend in our lives to get what we think we want or
Yeah.
what we think we deserve. And
Yeah.
here he's saying that my head is really of more value than this doorway. And I feel like he's saying something about that people tell us to do things, but really the integrity of who we are as a human being has more value than what other people tell us to do or what people require of us. Here's this man saying, do this, but he's saying, no, my head is more value than this door, which you've asked me
It
to
could
turn.
also mean, sorry, Tracy, it could also mean the head being the intellect
Yeah, I was thinking
and the
maybe
dust being annihilation of the mind and ego.
Yes, that's actually very possible.
I'm understanding everything you're saying, Tracy, but I'm still wondering what in this combination of words, how is he using dust?
Yeah.
Well, I think of become dust at the master's feet is like
But this is the dust that's on the doorstep, which you're
of the
supposed to
tavern.
turn away from.
No, it's in the tavern. So they're saying the dust that is on the doorstep of the tavern is more valuable than the head, right?
Well, he's asking the question. It's a question, and the question is: the dust on a door sill has more value than a head?
Right. Well, to me, it's saying it does, but
Yeah.
I mean, my answer would be yes, it certainly does. I'd rather be dust on the tavern floor of the divine tavern maker serving the wine than a head outside the door. And I'm wondering too, Thursday, if head is mind, intellect, mind.
Yeah. I'll read the whole thing one more time, and then we'll move on to the next poem. But I appreciate that. It's the one thing I love so much about poetry is that you can meet it where you are, and then poetry allows us to do that. I think it's such a great quality of poetry. To spend even one moment grieving about this world is a waste of time. Let's go and sell our robes for ordinary wine. Who says robes are better than wine? In the crooked alleys where the wine sellers hang out, a prayer mat may not even buy one glass of wine. What does that say about prayer mats? The tavern keeper scolded me, saying I should turn my face away from the door. What is this? The dust on a door sill has more value than a head? Hidden inside the crown of a king, there's always a fear of assassination. A crown is a stylish hat, but a head is too much to pay for it. It seems quite easy to put up with the ocean and its torments to receive a profit, but I was wrong. A hurricane is too much to pay for 100 pearls. It's better if you turn your face away from your admirers. The joy the general receives from dominating the world is not worth the suffering of the army. It's best to aim, as Hafez does, for contentment and abandon what belongs to the low world. 1 grain of indebtedness to the base life weighs more than 100 bushels of gold.
Good.
I love it, even though I don't fully understand it. I just love it.
Yeah, me too.
Time is okay. I'm going to read one more, and then we're going to go to some Q&A and to Ferishta's work. This one's called "Become a Lover." And Ferishteh reminded me that Hafez's poems did not have titles, so I'm not sure how Robert Bly and his person he was working with came up with these titles, but apparently they do not actually have titles. Don't tell the mysteries of drunkenness and love to a pedant, P-E-D-A-N-T. I actually don't know what that word means. Who has a clue?
P-E what?
Part of the word pedantic.
Yeah, that's what I thought, that it was part of the word pedantic, which I'm thinking it means like a person who's kind of not very with it, kind of slow. That was my take on that word, P-E-D-A-N-T.
I thought I can't say it.
I've never seen
Pedantic is more like stuck in a rigidity or stuck in your
Exactly.
ways on a low level. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Don't tell the mysteries of a drunkenness and love to a pedant. Let him pass away on his own with his ignorance and self-centeredness still inside. If you feel weak, feeble, and powerless, well, so does the breeze. Being sick on the path is 100 times better than a healthy mind and a healthy body. As long as you see yourself as learned and intellectual, you'll lodge with the idiots. Moreover, if you can stop seeing yourself at all, you will be free. If you are living in your dear one's castle, don't even think about the heavens above, because if you do, you'll drop like a stone to the filth-covered street. Become a lover. If you don't, one day the affairs of the world will come to an end, and you'll never have had even one glimpse of the purpose of the workings of time and space. On the spiritual road, being uncooked and raw is a mark of unbelief. It's best to move along the path of fortune with nimbleness and springy knees. In a nook, safe from blame, how can we stay secluded when your dark eyes remind us always of the joy and mysteries of drunkenness? Long ago, I had a premonition of these riots that have now occurred, when with a proud turn of the head, you refused to sit quietly with us. All of the thorn hurts your spirit. The rose asks pardon for this wound. The sourness of wine is more easily tolerated when one remembers the sweet flavor of drunkenness. Hafez, your love is going to turn you over to the rough hand of the hurricane. Why did you imagine that, like a lightning bolt, you could free yourself from this storm? Thank you, Hafez.
Sweet.
Such a light in this world.
This is one of the better ones I've, come across or heard people quote.
Yeah, I really like his work. That's why I wanted to share it with you all. I've read some terrible translations of Hafez, and I just think that these are beautiful. But I have to say, Ferishteh, I know it's not good to compare people, but I honestly think yours are better. I really do, honestly, genuinely.
Jane Baba.
Well, Ferishteh's maybe speak to our mindset, as we are in the world today. That may be part of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Baba, Baba's teachings. I take a lot from Baba's teachings.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Baba quoted Hafez quite often.
Yes.
And I think he opened the door for us to dive into Hafez.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I would like to just toss this out. It maybe is valid to this or not, but in Urdu poetry, which of course has a lot of, you know, Persian in it, ghazals do not also have titles.
Mm-hmm.
Like Baba's ghazals, they don't have titles, so they generally are referred to by the first, either the first word in the first line or the first line.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes the title of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like everyone refers to Ishtiyake because that's the first word of that ghazal.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. I think the Western translations have tried to make it palatable to the Western comfort
Yes.
that poems should have titles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, does anybody want to make any more comments before we hand it over to Farishta to close for us?
No.
Thoughts, comments, questions, complaints?
No complaint.
Thank you.
Only praise.
After all this poetry, we'd be embarrassed to complain.
Right?
Anything.
Shame to complain.
All praise.
Oh gosh.
Thank you for
All
holding
right.
this program. I'm enjoying it immensely.
We're so happy to have you on.
Thank you.
We're delighted that you're here.
Thank you, Tracy. It's wonderful.
You're welcome. It's my joy to share poetry, my great joy.
All right. Just clicking randomly. I clicked on number 74 and it says صبا اگر گذری افتدت به کشور دوست بیار تحفه‌ای از گیسوی معنبر دوست. A lot of these are Arabic words, so, you know. به جان او که به شکرانه جان برافشانم اگر به سوی مناری پیامی از بر دوست. Oh breeze, if you happen to go by the land of the friend, please bring back a gift of his fragrant tresses. I swear on him I will sacrifice my very life in gratitude if you bring me a message from the friend. And if you are not given entry to his holy presence, bring some dust for illuminating my eyes from his doorstep. I am the beggar and a hopeless supplicant of his union. Perhaps I shall see in my dream the face and beauty of the friend. My destitute heart shivers like the leaves of the willow tree from the yearning to behold the spruce-like form of the beloved. Although the friend will not pay much to acquire me, I will not sell the whole world for a single hair of the friend. What of it if Hafez should be released from the grief of his heart, since pitiable Hafez is already a slave and a servant of the friend.
Mm.
I like asking breezes for things and
Mm-hmm.
the elementals and bringing it all together. That was beautiful, Farishta. Thanks.
Thank you.
One more.
روی تو کس ندید و هزارت رقیب هست، در غنچه‌ای هنوز و صدت عندلیب هست. گر آمدم به کوی تو چندان غریب نیست، چون من در این دیار هزاران غریب هست. هرچند دورم از تو که دور از تو کس مباد، لیکن امید وصل تو ام ان غریب هست. در عشق خانقاه و خرابات شرط نیست، هر جا که هست پرتو روی حبیب هست. آنجا که حسن صومعه را جلوه میدهند، ناقوس و دیر و راهب و نام صلیب هست. عاشق که شد که یار به حالش نظر عاشق که شد که یار به حالش نظر نکرد، ای خواجه درد نیست وگرنه طبیب هست. فریاد حافظ این همه آخر به هرزه نیست، هم قصه‌ای غریب و حدیثی عجیب هست. No one has seen your face, and yet you have many rivals. You are still a bud, yet you have attracted hundreds of enchanted nightingales. If I come to your neighborhood, it shouldn't be so strange. There are thousands of distraught lovers who have left their places to be here. Although I am distant from you, may no one be distant from you. The hope of union with you is ever present. In love, there is no difference between the Sufi house and the house of ruination. The ray of the beloved's face is existent everywhere. That place where they advertise the attraction of the church contains the church bell, the monastery, the priest, and the name of the cross. Who became a true lover of God and did not receive his nazar? O Khwaja, there is no real pain of love and longing, but the physicians are there. It is not in vain that Hafiz incessantly emphasizes this point. It is both an unknown tale and a novel holy discourse. We all know what Nazar is, and Khwaja is another title for Hafiz.
Can you spell it?
Khajeh.
Oh.
So Hafiz says there's no real pain, no real pain of suffering and longing for God, but there are quite a few physicians who are ready to prescribe you.
Jumped out for me too.
Yes. I mean, he goes right to the point,
I know.
He definitely was a rogue.
Yes.
Of his time. One final one?
Yes. Please, some more. Could we have one more?
What is more pleasing than merriment and talk of the garden and spring? Where is the Saki? Do tell, what is the reason for our waiting? What is the meaning of the water of life and the Garden of Eden, other than sitting by the eternal spring and partaking of the fine wine of love divine? Whenever the opportunity of joyfulness is at hand, appreciate it. No one is privy to what is to happen in the end. Your lifespan hangs from a hair, so beware. Mind your own affairs. Why worry about the world? What does the world know about the secret behind the veil? Hush, O hypocrite. What is your quarrel with the one who is veiled? Since the drunkard and the veiled are both from the same tribe, whose seduction shall we give our hearts over to? Which path should we follow? Since the priests invite people's confession of mistakes and sins, what is then the meaning of divine forgiveness and mercy? The pious priest seeks the wine flowing in the rivers of paradise, and Hafiz seeks the cup. Let us wait and see whose desire God will fulfill.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would actually like to do this again next week and just read Hafez again. If you all would be interested in that. I feel like it's a territory that's so deep we could easily explore it again.
I would love to.
Good. I'm going to ask Laurent to do the class. I'm going to be out of town and I can't do it, but I think Laurent would be happy to do it. Unless Farishta, you would like to do it. And I don't want to put that on you because I know you're busy.
It'd be fun to do it with Laurent.
Okay, good. I'll ask him.
Yeah, remember that was our plan initially. I was one of the lucky guests she invited me, but at that time it was crazy. Angela had already asked me to do Hafez with Reza, who does the Rumi, and we did it for a couple months. And now July is our month off, and in August we're supposed to start again. I'm not sure. I haven't got the go-ahead from Baba yet, but yeah.
Good. I'm glad this could be an interim.
Yes.
Yeah. Jai Baba, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Farishta.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Jai
Hi,
Baba.
that was lovely.
Jai Baba. You're
Thank
muted.
you so much.
Hey, Baba.
Jai
It's
Baba.
very lovely, Jai Baba.
Mernaz Jun, thank you. Coming from you, being Persian, it means a lot.
Oh my gosh, I was so impressed by your translation because it actually rhymed, and many of those translations don't make any sense, and yours was just went to my heart.
I'm glad.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. And since we have both of you here, could either of you say what the foundation of Farsi is? What is the language that is the foundation of Farsi?
It's an Indo-European language, same foundation as English and Urdu, and I guess before Persian was Avesta in Iran, the very ancient language of Zoroastrians.
Yes.
I don't know if there's much in common between them, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't studied languages to give you a very intelligent answer. How about you, Mernaz? Do you know what the origin of Farsi is?
Well, I'm a Zoroastrian, but tell you the truth, I don't know much about the origin. I know that, us Persians, it's just like goes way back. But we started with the Khat Mikhi. Is there a translation for the not the hieroglyphics? That's Egyptian, right?
Yeah, Khat Mikhi is, the letters are like nails, literally nails back and forth. And that's not quite hieroglyphs, but even before that. But Farsi and in Hindi have a lot in common, and Urdu. There's quite a lot of Farsi words in Hindi.
Well, there is a very ancient language that nobody knows anymore, Bactrian.
Bactrian?
Bactrian. And that's what the Avesta is written in.
You mean Bukharai?
That could be another way of pronouncing it, but in English, they made the usage of the word Bactrian, like Bactrian.
That's interesting. I will look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be an English pronunciation. You know how those British scholars are. The British can't pronounce anything, not even their own language. But they mispronounced so much. So that could be how that evolved.
Well, there's definitely some information on Wikipedia. You guys can look it up.
Okay.
I just Googled what's the origin of the Persian language.
Okay.
It says the Persian language is a continuation of Middle Persian, the official religious and literary language of the Sasani Empire. Itself a continuation of Old Persian, which was used in the I don't even know how it's said in English, Achaemenid Empire. It originated in the region of Fars in southwestern Iran. Its grammar is similar to that of many European languages. Persian has been throughout history a prestigious cultural language used by various empires in Western Asia, Central Asia, and South Asia. Old Persian written works are attested in Old Persian cuneiform. That's the one, Mikhi, cuneiform.
We say cuneiform, yeah.
on several inscriptions from between the 6th and the 4th century BC, and Middle Persian literature is attested in Aramaic-derived scripts, Pahlavi and Manichaean, on inscriptions from the time of the Parthian Empire, and in books centered in Zoroastrian and Manichaean scriptures from between the 3rd to the 10th century AD, and it goes on and on. So, yeah, and of course, sadly, the Persian language got invaded with a lot of Arabic due to the Islamic invasion of Iran. And my ancestors were trying to recreate the pure Farsi going back, and my grandfather, my dad's father, spent 2 years in England going through the British Museum archives, and wrote a dictionary from Arabic back to pure Farsi to Avesta even, and English. And he would write in the column, the blank space in the page. What is that? In
the margin?
Margin, thank you. In the margin, he would also bring some poetry as witness to the origin of the word. So it was a lovely work that he wasn't able to publish himself because he didn't have the money. But later on, it fell on my dad to do it, and he didn't quite finish it, and then fell in my lap, and I finished all the editing of Farsi and English. But I got stuck in the Arabic part and tried to find somebody in Iran to do it, and I really couldn't find anybody suitable. And the manuscript is sitting still in the publisher's hard drive in Iran.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, now that you've put it out there, you know, the universe has heard it. Maybe
That's right.
person will pop up now.
Yeah.
Something will pop up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it was the fact that he did this so many years ago. And now, I think now in Iran is, hopefully, I think, and Mernaz may have a more recent exposure to what's happening in cultural literature of Iran, but they are trying to resurrect the pure Farsi words.
And Mernaz, what was the word that you used? It started with a B when I said Bakhtri and you said another version of that. What was that?
Yes, I said Bukharai.
Okay.
I think, yeah, it should be, maybe it's totally different, but that's what came to my mind.
Well, I'm going to research that.
They do sound very similar, those words.
Yeah. I mean, English, as I said, the English really, you know, they call India because it sounded like Hind. They couldn't get the H, the Hind, and
Wow.
So they called it India.
I didn't know that, Elaine.
Yeah, and Bombay was originally something very much like what they've gone back to calling it Mumbai now. And the British heard whatever that was, Mumbai, and all they could get out of it was Bombay. That's how they are. Yeah.
Bless their hearts. Young soul. That's all right.
Conquering the world. Busy, busy, busy. So much to do. Just a few of them, though, heard Hafiz and got it. Just a few. Bless their souls.
Yes.
Well, this is wonderful.
This was delightful, you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Hey,
Thank you.
Meher Baba. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Paresh.